just wanted to share a little bit about purpose-driven coffee and the the secret sauce, I guess you could say. And it's an event, but people experience it in a very meaningful and deep way. The way I think we experience life biggest moments. And so 7 o'clock, the doors open, and we have some volunteers there helping with the registration table and, getting people, welcomed into the room. There's coffee, obviously, and we keep it pretty simple. It's just coffee and some space. And for the next 30 minutes, people continue to show up. Then at 7:30, 7:27, I start having a couple volunteers kind of wrangling people, encouraging them to sit down. And at 7:30 we start, and we just jump right in. It's not um, it's not a space where we spend a lot of time um, on surface level topics. So 2, 3, 4 minutes, we kind of welcome people, share kind of the overview of what's going to happen, and then we just dive in. And the overview is this: welcoming people. Thank you for being here. If it's your first time, raise your hand, whatever it might be, whatever, 30 seconds of opening commentary. And we, two things I typically share of, 2 years ago, I had this idea of what happens if we bring people together for conversations around purpose and get out of the way, right? Let's just have these conversations and bringing people together in a community. So we started doing that, and people kept showing up. The first month, 75 people showed up, and a year later, we were up to 125 people. And this past April, we launched our second location. That's both locations have sold out every month since. So that's really kind of the story that we typically share, something along those lines. And then the format is pretty simple. I'm going to interview a guest, and each month we have a different guest, and I just kind of ask them a question along the lines of, how'd you get to this point? And ahead of time, I have them fill out a form and kind of gives them some structure for their own thoughts on how to answer that initial question. And for 10 or 15 minutes, and if they need some prompting, I can ask some additional questions along the way. But for 10 or 15 minutes, the first 10 or 15 minutes of the program, they just kind of share their story, how they got to this point. And at some point during their conversation, they've been vulnerable and open enough um, that they will say something that I just want to latch onto. And the most powerful part of the event and why people continue to come back is what happens next. Is when the guest speaker stops after that 10 or 15 minute initial segment, I will then, or the host will then ask a question to the group, for example, what hard conversation do you need to have with yourself right now? And then we say, take a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes with 2, 3, 4 people around you, and let's have that conversation. If you don't like that conversation, there's coffee. Go grab some coffee. The bathroom's over there. But that's really the question to tackle for the next 10 or 15 minutes. And so sometimes it might be a question like that. Sometimes it might be a question of where do you need to be more intentional in your life in the next 30 days? Or, other questions, who on your team right now in your life shouldn't be on your team right now moving forward? Whatever it is, like it's a powerful, like, no joke, let's go kind of question. And so people that they just met, all they have on their name tag is their name. There's no company name, there's no job title, anything else. They just happen to sit down next to these people, and then they have this conversation. And it only takes the guest and the host and one person to go first. And then for 10 or 15 minutes, they have these beautiful, beautiful conversations. And then I'll grab the microphone, 10 or 15 minutes into it, and I'll typically say, like, the least favorite part of the event is when I have to stop the conversations, but we need to get on with the rest of the program. And the rest of the program is really the second part. And so I'll ask the special guest, like, "What are you doing today, and where are you going? Where are you going? How can we help?" And for that, they will take the next 10 or 15 minutes and talk about where they're going, whether their company or their journey in life or whatever their story might entail. And then that happens. And so at this point, we're at about 8:10 when they finish up with that. And then I will ask one more question to the group, and it will be something along the lines of what the guest just shared. And I'll ask a question like, oh, let's see. In the next 30 days, what actions do you need to take to be more purpose driven? Or what's one thing that you're going to do every day from here until we get back together next month? Some sort of question again. Or another one is, where do you need help in your life? Like, we're really good at offering help to other people. Where's a place in your life that you need help? So I'll ask that second question. And again, two, three, four people around you. If you don't like that question, you're uncomfortable in talking, go grab some coffee. Nobody ever gets up and grabs coffee. They're here for those conversations. And then that 10 or 15 minutes goes by, and I just wrap it up. I wrap it up by thanking the sponsors, sharing how the attendees can get, in touch with the guests. They're available afterwards, that we're a photo-friendly environment, take photos, post them on social media, and that's it. Hour goes by really quick, and then people can stick around as long as they want afterwards. And they do. They stick around for a half hour, an hour, continuing these conversations, taking pictures of the people they just met. And that's really what purpose-driven coffee, that's the magic, is people think that they're going to listen to a speaker, but they are part of the message. They are part of the conversation, and they too, their stories matter. Where much of life today is the information we receive is very one direction. Somebody talks, you listen. And with purpose-driven coffee, the attendees are part of the conversation, and they get a process while they are listening and being a part of it, rather than audiobooks and speakers and pastors and churches and panelists and professors. People talk, you listen, and you're expected to process. Later on, this you process as you're going through it, and it really makes it a powerful, powerful experience.